let's talk transfers then. It's the summer, the season's over. Why wouldn't we be going with some transfer news, Neil? So according to Sasha Tavaleri, a Belgian journalist, he says Johan Bakayoko is considered one of the names on the table for Liverpool this summer. His name has been validated both by Barry Hunter and Arne Slot. Liverpool have been interested in the player since March 2023. He wants to play for a team in the Champions League, and it's very likely that a move from PSV will happen after the Euros. Transfer fee will be lower than the 50 million euros that PSV expected. Dortmund and Leipzig are also interested. So this isn't the first time we've seen Johan Bakayoko's name actually linked with Liverpool. But connecting dots from player in Holland to player who Arne Slot's probably seen a lot of. And also he goes on to mention, although Salah said he's going to stay, at some point there will. There does have to be a Mohamed Salah succession plan. So succession plan and contingency, like I say. We've seen this year, Mo Salah was out for a spell, and with all due respect to Harvey Elliott, he wasn't a natural replacement. It was almost like a square peg round hole kind of thing. There's no one else in the squad other than young Ben Doak, who was also injured, who you'd say is a natural right winger per se. So what have you made of the latest links to Bakayoko? Because I think it makes a lot of sense in terms of player, position, fee, where team he's coming from. It kind of ticks the boxes that you would associate with the Michael Edwards era of Liverpool signings, really.
Possibly. I mean, maybe apart from numbers. You know, what's he got? 12 goals this season. He's going in the right direction, but you'd usually be looking at bigger output, I think, from a player, especially if they're coming in to replace Salah. But that's if you are looking for someone to replace or be like Salah. You know, you might want something different, and I think City have benefited quite a lot actually from having someone like Jeremy Doku,
who doesn't produce big numbers, but he beats a man.
Who doesn't do that, but you know, as a sub or in certain games is so different to Jack Grealish or Phil Foden or in the past Raheem Sterling or whoever. So if it is, I mean, he's lightning quick, obviously, Bakayoko, and he's young enough that you think there's significant development in there. You know, as a 21-year-old, obviously, I think he's being primed for a move, isn't he? I think he was very close. It was Brentford, I think, wasn't it, last summer? He was quite strongly linked with that he was going to come to Brentford. So I think he's quite quite likely to go and move to somewhere else. I mean, PSV have had an unbelievable season. You're talking about he wants to move to a team in the Champions League. Well, he's at one.
Maybe a team who can win the Champions League. Yeah. With all due respect to PSV, I don't think they would be expected to do that.
No, absolutely. Although, to be fair, only who knocked them out this season? Dortmund, wasn't it? We were in the final. So so I think he is one that's going to obviously get a move at some point, whether it's this summer or beyond. I think Liverpool should sign a forward player. I personally think it should be a forward player with more evidence of output in terms of, you know, more goals to their game. And if you look at the players that they have signed, they've tended to be a level above where Bakayoko's at in terms of that. Gakpo was at the same club but scoring more goals, obviously. Jota was doing it. Darwin Núñez obviously was doing it. Salah, when he signed, was doing it at a better level. Mane. So it would be, I wouldn't say I'd be surprised, but it would be maybe a little bit of an alternative kind of option there. But listen, you know, there's a few players around at the moment in European leagues. I think Nico Williams at Bilbao would be another one in that zone. You think there's clearly potential there. Just a question of how quickly could that scale up into Liverpool, and you know, probably a bit easier to do it with a player from La Liga or Serie A or Bundesliga than it is from the Eredivisie, where we'll find out with Slot. You know, the level jump might be a little bit higher, but he's certainly a good player who's got and we'll all look out for him at the Euros. He'll be there with Belgium only, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's worth mentioning that, like, I know you've said in the past, haven't you, Liverpool like to watch a player X amount of first team games. He's played like, he has played, he's 85 for PSV in all comps. He's also obviously played for the national team Belgium 11 times. So he's played like, he's almost had like 100 clear games.
He's 21.
He's a kid, he's a young lad, and so Liverpool will know everything they probably need to know about him. But also, Neil, is it worth saying, like, for example, what Arne Slot wants from his right winger might not be. It might not be. My centre forward scores me goals. I want my right winger to beat a player, add pace to the team.
Absolutely.
We might have to get
he might want more ball carrying players, or you might want, you know, I think I think Salah and Mane, when they were at their best, were capable ball carrying. But I think it's fair to say as they got more into Liverpool, they became more touch and go and sort of link players and finishers in that sense. So yeah, of course there could be, and that goes for all positions. It could go for your Trent, couldn't it? It could go for, well, actually you don't need to go in that midfield. I want you on that right, or I just want you in that midfield. I don't want you playing fullback. It could go for midfielders where you want, I'd want people driving forward with the ball, or I want people shooting from distance, or whatever. There's a lot of things that we don't yet know about how Liverpool are going to look. And yeah, one of the great things about them, really, even this season, I know it didn't end great, but one of the great things was you felt like they had versatility and variety in their attacking midfield and forward options, that you felt like, well, actually, if Mo Salah has a bad game, well, you've got Darwin there, creating mayhem, or you've got Luis Diaz, carrying the ball down the left hand side and creating things, or you've got Jota popping up and scoring goals. So having another versatile option certainly wouldn't be a bad thing.
I suppose as well. Again, we'll wait and see who stays, who goes. But I from what we're told, even in the report of Arne Slot, announced people saying Nunes is going nowhere.
Yeah, I thought that was quite
where that come from.
Quite key.
If there's 5 already, and we're about to, with all due respect, the jump from Liverpool playing in Europa League, where they were able to rest players, they're not going to be able to afford to be able to do that really in the Champions League, and there are more Champions League games. It probably lends itself saying you probably need 6. You probably need 6 frontline forwards backed up with your youth players. So especially
with the injury record of some of them as well. Jota's obviously got a history of missing quite a bit of football. Salah hasn't, but has a difficult second half of the season. Diaz has had a bad injury while he's been at Liverpool, so it doesn't take. We've learned, haven't we, with Liverpool? You can look at your squad on a Monday and say it looks. You're going to have to leave people off the bench because it's so strong, and by the Friday you're looking at it going, I don't know who we're going to put on the pitch here. We haven't got the numbers. That Brentford game, what Liverpool lost, was it 4 players? I think they lost in one game.
Yeah.
For lengthy periods as well. So, sandbagging a little bit against that. Of course, there's some young players that maybe. You might throw into that mix. You don't know. Jadon Sands might go away in the summer and come back and just be another level up, and you go, actually, maybe he's the guy that we're gonna put our eggs in. We might have thought Ben Doak would be that last summer. He didn't quite have a great first half of the season and got an injury. So there's still some unknowns within the squad as well. But yeah, I would say that Liverpool would probably, if I was in charge of recruitment this summer, I think I'd be wanting one more sort of forward option, and that's it. That's regardless of whether anyone goes. From
my point of view, I like a Bakayoko, because I'm with you. I actually do think what Liverpool need is a bit more pace in the attack.
Yeah,
I think
that might be one thing.
I think at times Nunes has got it, but the position he plays, it's hard for him really to exploit it unless he goes and stands on the left wing, which I don't know if they really want.
None of them are slow, are they? I know what you mean. None of them are slouches, but there are times when you watch, for example, Pedro Neto, or you watch Jeremy Doku, and you think, there's nothing you can do against that, and they might not have the end product at the at the final, but wow, it's exciting, and it's sort of, you feel like if they did have the end product, that would be another level, wouldn't it? And yeah, maybe you don't feel like with Liverpool, maybe you feel like that they're good footballers, good technical players, but they're sort of they're inside the pitch maybe a little bit at times. But again, that could be by design, and you could see Luis Diaz next season encouraged. I don't care what you do. I just want you to go out on the outside, roast them for pace, and get crosses into the box or pullbacks to the penalty spot or whatever. So, there's plenty we don't know yet about Liverpool in terms of how they're going to look, and obviously that feeds into what they do in the summer transfer market. But I don't expect any drastic kind of shifts in terms of policy. I don't expect Liverpool to start looking at either kids or 28, 29-year-old sort of Casemiros and Varans and people like that. I think they'll be a lot more equally kind of predictable in terms of the transfer.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier actually how mad last summer was. You just bear in mind it was under a different regime. I wouldn't be surprised if we go back more towards what we were used to, because last summer was chaos.
Yeah,
I might be wrong. I don't see a world where the Michael Edwards led regime goes out and bids 100 million for Moises Caicedo without knowing that he wants to actually play for the football. I just don't see that with Everton. I might be wrong. I might be completely wrong on that. It feels like you you might go back to more of what you expect Liverpool to do.
But as well, there was I could say that there was, the landscape was mad as well, wasn't it? Around it, there was
Saudi stuff.
There was the Saudi stuff, which was muddy in the waters. So there was a great. I don't know if anyone read it. Why would you? But I did. About Arsenal, where Gabriel, the centre half, didn't start the season in the team because they were basically thinking he's going to they're going to have to deal with a bid for Saudi, and then it never came. And a month into the season, he said, "Right, you can go back in the team," and now he's like a centrepiece of their team. But that's how sort of disruptive that was last season. That,
we got a record bid on deadline day for our it was crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was also a case where a lot of teams were looking for a specific area, central midfielder, really, weren't they? And that made it more tricky because Liverpool, like we say, they wanted Lavia, they wanted Caicedo. They're not in that position at this moment in time, where it's not a position where they're looking going, well, everyone in the world and its wife knows that Liverpool needs that. Liverpool might need a lot of things, they might not, but no one's sitting there going, well, I tell you what, we've got exactly what Liverpool need right here. So let's bump the price up, or let's stand firm, or let's hold, and not do anything. I think it's a little bit more calm, the waters. And obviously as well, on top of that, there's a lot of teams in the Premier League that are probably having to tighten their belts a little bit as well in terms of PSR rules, and maybe there won't be that free spending of yesteryear, even among some of the top teams. We read about Manchester United maybe having to do it, Newcastle, Chelsea, obviously. Arsenal, I think, have even been mentioned in amongst that. Maybe some of them teams have done their kind of splurge, so it might make it just a little bit calmer in terms of Liverpool not, having bids rejected, or having to sort of play poker and hang on and we'll wait till late in the window for a Gravenberch or an Endo.
Going back to Sasha's tweet very quickly, he says he is likely any transfer would happen after Euro 2024. That's something of interest here, because there's a new manager coming in. And I said earlier, it's a good time to come on in terms of where the squad's at, but also, actually, and we touched on it before about the young players and stuff, Arne Slot's going to come in, and there's so many players away that any business he might want to do, or any training time, the Euros is coming into a new team when there's a summer tournament on isn't ideal for a lot of different reasons. Like if players don't want to move before, they don't want to even think about club football now, I'm in Euros mode. Players coming back at different stages, like you say, that is the one thing where you said before, like Liverpool like to get the ducks in a row early. The Euros actually might force them not to be able to do that.
Yeah, it's happened before, hasn't it? Rafa came in, I think, in the middle of a Euro tournament where really the big issue was around players wanting to leave, wasn't it?
Obviously Steven
and Michael Owen obviously left that summer. Brendan, I think, came in a Euro summer, because I remember him going to whatever his early pre-season games. I think they had qualifiers as well for the Europa League. But I remember him going to America in his first pre-season with, not a shadow squad, but a lot of young players. Raheem Sterling, I think, was among them, because he had players away at Euro 2012. So, yeah, it does obviously impact your plans in terms of your first few weeks of training. But Liverpool have a good idea of who they want or who they don't want. Chances are, if they're good players, they'll probably be involved at some point in the Euros or the Copa America. But there's not much you can do about it, is there? It is what it is, as they say. But you're right. It doesn't make it any easier for them to sort of get this, especially if it is a radically new philosophy around playing. It might make it a little bit more difficult to nail that down. It might just mean that you see a little bit more pragmatism in the early weeks of the season while everyone gets au fait with the new manager and he to them.